Hi guys, and welcome back to I Speak English. My name's Hayley, and today I'm going to be showing you how examiners mark your Cambridge C1 exam. So if you're not sure about all the different parts, how they're marked, or how to add it up, stay with me here. This is going to be useful for you if you want to take a practice exam before your real exam, so that then you can mark your practice exam yourself. Alright, so stay here, we're going to take a look at that in a second, but before we do, make sure that you're subscribed and that you hit the bell so that you'll get a notification from me every time I upload a new video. I put videos up every Saturday, so if you want to learn weekly and keep studying, you'll be able to get a notification from me if you hit that bell. So hit the subscribe button there and let's get started. So how to mark your Cambridge C1 exam. So before we take a look at it, it's kind of important to know why you need to know this information, right? There are several reasons why this is important for you to know. First of all, if you want to take a practice test, which are free, you can download them from the Cambridge website. I'll put the link in the description for you. Once you've taken that practice test, you need to know how to mark it, otherwise it won't really mean anything to you, right? But you need to be aware that different parts of the exam have different points. So in your reading and use of English exam, some questions are worth 2 points, some questions are only worth 1 point. Also, there's a certain calculation that you need to know to get your final mark. So it's really important if you want to take a practice test. Another reason why this is important, that it allows you to set achievable goals. So once you've taken that practice test, you know whereabouts you're at, and then you can set a goal for yourself of where you want to get to, okay? Whether that be just to pass the exam, or if you want a grade B or a grade A, you can set a particular goal and then you'll be able to reach that goal easier because you know how many points you need and where you need to improve. And like I said before, there are some questions that have fewer points, some questions that have more points, so you need to know that. And also, this is going to be really good for improving your writing and your speaking, because you'll be able to see the marking criteria and what exactly you need to include in your writing and how exactly you need to speak. So this is just going to overall help your score, because you'll be able to know exactly what you need to do to get whatever score you need. Alright, so let's take a look then how exactly it's scored. So if you didn't already know, the Cambridge C1 exam is part of the European Framework for Languages that runs from A1 level to C2 level, A1 being beginner or elementary, C2 being proficient. C1 is advanced. So the European Framework for Languages works on a particular scale where you get a certain amount of points. Okay, so in order for you to pass your Cambridge C1 exam, you need at least 180 points on that scale. Okay, 180 to 192 is a pass at grade C. If you get lower than 179, it's a fail, and it's considered a B2 level. Anything between 160 to 179 is B2, okay? 193 to 199 is a grade B at C1 level, and 200 to 210 is a grade A, and it's actually considered a C2 level if you get 200 to 210 points. Okay, and you need a minimum of 60% to pass this exam. Okay, so that's an overall 60% or an average. I say an average because that's exactly what it is. So if you take a look at how each part of your exam is weighted, they're all weighted the same. Okay, 20% reading, use of English, listening and writing. They're all worth 20% of your exam, and then the examiner adds up all those scores and you get an average. All right, so that's how your exam is marked overall. Now we're going to go into detail into each part of the exam. So we're going to start with reading and use of English. So reading and use of English, you take them in the same exam. It's the same paper, but they actually mark them separately. Again, like I said before, some questions have 2 points, some questions have 1 point. This is why they mark each part of the exam separately. So if we look at use of English, you can see that part 2 has 8 questions, 1 point per question. Part 3 also has 8 questions, 1 point per question. But part 4, your keyword transformation, has only 6 questions, but there are 2 points for every question. Okay, so that means you actually get 12 points in total just for part 4. So if you're in the exam thinking, oh, there's only like 6 questions, it's okay if I get one wrong. In part 4, it's not, because you lose 2 points for every question you get wrong. So this is why you need to know how your exam is marked, okay? This also happens in some of your reading tasks as well, where you think, oh, there's like 4 questions, and it's actually 8 points. So keep in mind which parts of the exam have more points. So part 4 keyword transformation is very important. At C1 level, try to focus on that. Try to get as many points as you can. Okay, your use of English paper is a total of 28 points, and you need at least 18 points to pass this paper. Okay, that's 60% of 28 is 18. So 18 points minimum to pass use of English. Your reading, okay, you've got parts 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Parts 1 and part 8, they're only 1 point per question, okay? Part 8, you've got 10 questions. Part 1, you've got 8 questions. Parts 5, 6, and 7, you've got 2 points per question for these parts, okay? You've got 6 questions, so you've got 12 points for part 5, 8 points for part 6, and 12 for part 7. So again, you can see that these parts of the exam are really important. If you get one question wrong in parts 5, 6, or 7, you lost 2 points. So you need to concentrate a lot on parts 5, 6, and 7 because that's where most of your points are. All right, so reading is a total of 42 points, and you need a minimum of 24 points to pass this part of your exam. Okay, next we're going to move on to listening. Listening is pretty simple. You just have 4 parts to your listening, and you have 1 point per question in all of your listening. Okay, so 6 points for part 1, 8 for part 2, 6 for part 3, and 10 for part 4, which is a maximum of 30 points. Okay, and to pass, you need 18 points minimum in order to pass, so 60% again. Okay, so super simple. Moving on to writing. Writing, as you should know, you've got 2 parts to your writing, part 1, part 2, and each of your writing is worth 20 points in total. Your marking criteria for this, so you're marked out of content, language, organisation, and communicative achievement, and you get 5 points for each, a maximum of 5 points for each criteria. So you can get from 1 to 5 for content, from 1 to 5 to language, 1 to 5 organisation, 1 to 5 communicative achievement. Okay, so your total is 40 points. You need 24 points minimum to pass. Okay. If you're not sure what this marking criteria is, so your content is just, have you answered the question? Have you hit all of the points that the question asked you to? If you have and everything is relevant, you will get a 5. Language is your vocabulary and your grammar together, both the range of vocabulary and grammar and the accuracy. So you need to be using a lot of different grammar structures, a lot of different synonyms, paraphrases, and you need to use them correctly without making mistakes. That will get you a 5. Organisation is just how well is your writing organised. Are you using paragraphs? Are you using linking words? Does everything kind of flow well? Is it easy to read? If you answer yes to all the questions I just asked, you get a 5. And lastly, communicative achievement. So this is, are you able to express your ideas, complex ideas, in a concise way? So basically, if the examiner is confused while they're reading your writing, you will not get a 5, you'll get a lower mark. So it needs to be easy for the examiner to read. You need to express yourself coherently and concisely. All right, so 20 points for each of your writing, which makes it 40 points. You need to get 24 points minimum to pass. All right, and lastly, your speaking. So your speaking is marked kind of completely different to all of the other parts of the exam. Okay, let's take a look at how your speaking is marked. So you have marking criteria like you do in writing. We've got grammar, vocabulary, discourse, which is kind of like organization. Does your speech flow well? Pronunciation, interaction, and you also have a global mark as well. So you get 5 points for each of those. In all of your marking criteria, we times them by 2, apart from your global mark, which you times by 5. Okay, so once we've added all that up, you can get a maximum score of 75 points for your speaking. You need a minimum of 45 to pass your speaking. Okay, so once that you know what's included and how to mark your practice exam, now you need to calculate your score. So how exactly do you do that? The first thing you're going to do is add up the points for each part separately. Okay, so add up all your reading points, add up all your use of English, all your listening, all your writing, all your speaking. Okay, so make a list first of all. So let's say you get 35 in reading, 30 in use of English, 22 in listening, 31 in writing, and 47 in speaking. You've got that list there. Then what you're going to do is work out the percentage for each part. And the way you work out the percentage is you take the amount of points that you had, the amount of points you got in that part, divide it by the total amount of points possible for that section, and then times it by 100. And that gives you a percentage. Okay, so 35 out of 42 times 100 is 83%. And you're going to do that with every part of the exam. Okay, so I got 19 out of 20 for use of English. I times it by 100, I get 67. 22 out of 30 times by 100 is 67. 31 out of 40 times by 100 is 77. 47 out of 75 times by 100 is 63. All right, so now you've got your percentages for each part. What you're going to do is work out an average percentage. So add them all up, 83 plus 67, 67, 77, 73, and then you're going to divide it by 5, which is how many parts of the exam there are. Okay, so add them all up, divide it by 5, and that will give you your average percentage, which in this case is 71. Okay, so remember, above 60 is a pass. If you get above 60% at Cambridge C1, you pass the exam. So 71% is 190 on the Cambridge scale, which is a grade C. But one thing to bear in mind is, especially with your writing and your speaking score, it's going to be kind of difficult for you to mark that because you're not a Cambridge examiner, so you're not sure exactly where you're going to sit, what your score is going to be. If you do need any help with that, I do have an essay correction service on my website. If you go to www.englishclassesonline.co.uk, you can find it there. And I'd also be happy to mark your speaking as well. If you'd like to book a class with me, you can at any time. All right, so that's all from me for this lesson. If you found this video useful, please do give it a like. It just helps it to reach more people so that they can prepare for the Cambridge C1 exam as well. And as always, make sure that you're subscribed and you hit the bell so that you get a notification from me every time I upload a new video. And if you have any questions about the Cambridge C1 exam, just leave me a little comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, that's all from me. I'll see you in another lesson soon.